Vehicles are really not all that complicated, but we tend to overcomplicate them. Whenever we're on the range or in training in general, we should be trying to get repeatable, predictable outcomes. So when we're talking about vehicles, it gets really complicated when we're trying to look at what round will do what to which pillar may stop rounds and which won't, and what the windshield will do to different variations of rounds. Because in the moment, you're not going to be thinking about any of that stuff. It doesn't really matter if you think a vehicle is cover or concealment, because it'll probably be the only thing that you have to put between yourself and the person who's trying to kill you.
We got crews coming.
Most cops spend the majority of their time in their vehicles, writing reports, traffic stops, vehicle pursuits, responding to calls. Every interaction we have with any person or any situation always starts in our vehicle. So the likelihood of you being involved in an engagement in or around your vehicle is high. So we have to work with what we have. Leaving our only available option to what we think is better cover may not be the best idea, considering we have to put ourselves out into the open to do that. In order to achieve what little tactical advantage you may have in these moments, there are a few considerations. Some police cars have ballistic panels and some don't. This is usually indicated by a sticker on the door that may or may not be there. If your vehicle does have panels, how big are they? What caliber are those panels rated to stop? You probably don't know the answer to those questions, and you definitely won't have time to think about what caliber the bad guy is shooting at you with. What does remain consistent is continuously placing as much of the vehicle between yourself and the bad guy as possible. And the good thing about this is that it doesn't matter what vehicle you happen to be in. The thought process related to the tactic remains the same. The more you have to factor in all these variables, it begins to complicate things, and it complicates the thought process, which in turn complicates the tactic. And the idea remains the same regardless of the vehicle you are in. You don't really have to train on where to move, but you do have to recognize and make the decision in that moment to get there. Because when the shooting starts, you will likely end up doing exactly that. Whether that be front to back, back to front, or side to side. Do you think the majority of officers in shootings around their vehicles trained frequently to do that, and that's why they did it? Probably not. What they did was move as far away from the gunfire as possible because common sense, human instinct, and the physiological responses to stress forcing them there, wherever there is in relation to the bad guy. In this situation, or any situation where you might not have the greatest piece of cover, it becomes all about giving that round as many chances to deviate as possible. And with vehicles, there's plenty of opportunities front to back and back to front, and less chances side to side. The front of the vehicle has the engine, and the rear of police cars usually has cages and metal lock boxes. There's just more stuff in these locations than there is when you decide to hang out near the doors. Because of the round deviating downward when it comes into the windshield, it's unlikely that a round would travel all the way through the vehicle front to back or back to front, especially when we are talking about police cars with all the different layers of plexiglass or metal cages. Ballistic panels were never put on doors to tell you, hey, stay here. They were put there just in case they happen to catch a round for you while you're seated in your vehicle or while you're getting out. It doesn't make sense for you to stand at your door and try to address the threat while your upper body is exposed and part of your legs as well. When the shooting does start, you're more than likely going to get really small or then try to put as much of the vehicle between yourself and the bad guy as possible.
Show me your hands! Hey!
But if we do that from the beginning, we're giving that round more chances to deviate away from actually striking us. In a situation that hasn't quite risen to the levels of gunfire yet, we want to try to remember to close our door when we're moving to the rear of our vehicle. The reason that we want to do this is because if we need to see around our door, we're going to end up putting ourselves out into the open with a false sense of security just to do that. But if we close our door, then we can truly use as much of the vehicle as possible, giving the round more chances to deviate before it gets to us as we're working angles to try and see what we need to see. This methodology remains the same regardless of the vehicle you are in. Whether you're in a patrol vehicle, a UC vehicle, or your personal vehicle, the tactic remains the same. Anytime we can keep the tactics the same without adding unnecessary variables, it limits the likelihood of us making a mistake. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be notified.
118, this family level. I can't copy. I want family level. We got crews coming.